I am so excited because today is the day finally we get to go and watch Thor Ragnarok. It's out in theaters. We've been waiting for this ever since that the last Thor movie, The Dark World, came out back in November 2013, and with Thor making his appearance on Avengers Age of Ultron. It's been quite some time since we've had a Thor movie, so we finally got one. I'm so excited. I'm pretty sure you guys are too, because we've been hearing a lot of great things about this movie, even having to know that the Hulk is in it. It's gonna be such an awesome experience. I am so excited, and I'm sure you guys are too. And this movie, it's gonna have a lot of good stuff in it, stuff that we haven't even seen before in any of the Thor movies or Avengers movies that had Thor ever even involved. But it's so great. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing Thor and Hulk buddy up in this movie together, and having the return of Loki. It's just gonna be amazing. So hi, I'm Awesome Joe, and thank you so much for having to take the time out of your day to watch another one of my playback-to-back video reviews. And today we're gonna be reviewing for Thor and Thor the Dark World. So it's more of a little bit of a recap. I wanted to do something like this, something special, just to get you guys on board as to where we're at with the character of Thor, and what we're going to be looking forward to in Thor Ragnarok. So I'm really excited about this. Let's go ahead and get started with this, because I'm really pumped up and ready to go. As you can tell, I'm actually dressed up as Thor right now. And so I'm really excited. So let's go ahead and get this baby started, okay? So first off, we're going to go ahead and start off with Iron Man 2. Why Iron Man 2? I will tell you guys why. Because even though after the first ending credits of the first Iron Man movie, where we got to see Sam Jackson, such an amazing scene, and then we get another one after The Incredible Hulk, where we get Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man returning into that movie, talking to General Ross. That was an even amazing scene. But none other than the one that really got me, that really opened up the doors, knowing that the MCU is creating a bigger universe than just on the planet Earth itself. So this is the one that I'm really excited about. It got me so pumped up. It was such an amazing scene, and I mean, it was just great. So we get Agent Phil Coulson. After leaving Iron Man 2, he takes off to New Mexico. Such an amazing scene. I remember when I first watched this, it was so great. I mean, I didn't even know what was happening. I just saw New Mexico. I saw Phil Coulson. I saw this big ditch filled with so many people in there. And he just picks up the phone and he says, "Sir, we found it." And booyah, the first appearance of Thor's hammer. I mean, it was such an amazing scene. It got me so amped up. I could not wait to see what was going to happen, how this was all going to work out. We only know him from the comic books and several appearances in the original Incredible Hulk series with Lou Ferrigno. But other than that, the first time on the big screen for Thor. Such an amazing scene. I love this scene. Which brings us to Thor. And Thor came out in the summer of 2011 in May. We have starring Chris Hemsworth. I wasn't very familiar with him. I believe that he was very new to his career in acting, and he does Thor perfectly well. We got Tom Hiddleston in this. Tremendously well actor. He does such an excellent performance in this movie, even playing the very iconic character villain Loki. And then of course we got Natalie Portman in here as the love interest. We got Idris Elba, another brilliant actor, and of course none other than Anthony Hopkins playing the All-Father Odin. And this movie, it takes place right after Iron Man 2, and we got Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor. And Thor, he's a character who's very naive. He's about to be king, but you know, several actions of his causes him to be banished from his home world of Asgard, put onto Earth, and having to learn the ways of human life, and to learn to become more responsible, having to be well known that he's not worthy of being a king just yet, but having to be just the hero and protector of both Asgard and Earth. And it's such a brilliant movie. I mean, I thought that it wasn't going to work out, but like, say for example, the suit the suit looked very uncomfortable, but yet it looked so awesome on the screen. Even Chris Hemsworth himself admitted that the suit was very uncomfortable to wear, even though he had to do whatever he could to work in it. And the visionaries of this whole thing, you see Asgard for the first time, this big, huge golden city, such an amazing glimpse of that kingdom. And then the villains, for example, like how I said earlier, Tom Hiddleston's Loki, amazing. I loved his performance in this movie. And then other characters, we got Odin. He's Anthony Hopkins, such an amazing actor, doing an awesome character. And then we got Agent Coulson in this also. He's pretty much like the root of this whole Avenger team, bringing this team together throughout all these different movies leading up to the Avenger movie. And then the one thing that really bugged me is the love interest. Natalie Portman is an amazing actress. She does amazing work. She's really grown in her career ever since she first started when she was a child. But I would have to say that the love interest between Thor and Jane Foster, Natalie Portman, and Chris Hemsworth did not connect. I did not really see it, even though there was this big, wet, sloppy kiss in the whole thing. I just did not feel the love between them two, even though that's what they were expressing with one another. So it's an amazing movie. I mean, we even get some cameos in there, like for example, Hawkeye. He's only in there for several minutes, but he's not even identified as Hawkeye, but we all know for a fact that is Jeremy playing Hawkeye. And then at the end credits, we get Nick Fury, who comes in and is like pretty much opening for the Avengers. And the music in this movie is so amazing. I mean, it's so epic, it's so iconic. It really identifies the character of Thor. So I was very fond of the music. I'm a big fan of the composer Patrick Doyle, who also did the music for Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Such an amazing composer, such awesome music that he does. And then the ending, of course, we get Nick Fury having to do what he does with having to open up for the Avengers. So it's so great, it's so awesome. Rotten Tomatoes rated it a 77% out of 100. And for me, as much as I love that percentage, I picked it up a little bit up more to 80% because I feel like this movie deserves that rating. 77% is great, but I believe it deserves a little bit more credit to having to be 80% of being such a successful Thor movie so far. So that's my rating for Thor, and we're going to go on to the next movie. So we get to see Thor come back in the Avengers after his first appearance in his first movie. And not only do we get Thor back, but we also get Tom Hiddleston back as Loki. And I got to say that these two, they interact with the way they interacted with each other. It's just so amazing. You can actually tell the brotherly bond between the two, and how much they've been through together. So it's just an amazing thing to see with these two clashing against each other, how they interact and how they fight against one another. If you have a brother, because I have a brother, and I can actually understand the conflict that these two have against each other. So sometimes I have the same thing with my brother. It's just a huge, everybody has a different type of brotherly bond, and I have the same thing with my brother. I love him to death, but there's times where I just hate the living life out of him. And so that's what these two go through also, and you see that a lot in the Avengers. You see it in Thor and Thor the Dark World, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing some more of that in Thor Ragnarok, and even in Infinity War. So we'll see what happens there. After the events of the Avengers, Loki is unsuccessful with his plans, and he gets captured and he's brought back to Asgard. And he's being imprisoned, and it's just pretty much a story that's taking place immediately right after the Avengers. And so we got the return of Chris Hemsworth, Tom Hiddleston, of course, Natalie Portman, Idris Elba, and Anthony Hopkins. And the story, it doesn't really feel much more compared to the first film than it actually does with of its own film. It kind of felt more like a Saturday morning cartoon episode, if you'd ask me, and I guess that's what most sequels nowadays do seem like. but they did do several advancements. Like, say for example, the suit in the first movie, the suit did seem very uncomfortable, which was, and this time, even though it is still uncomfortable, it seems to be a little bit more flexible in order to cooperate more with having to for Chris Hemsworth to act in his career job. And then we get a new villain called Malekith, I believe it was, and the villain is not really that memorable. It's not. I don't even know who the actor is that plays him. I know that the name is played on there, but it doesn't really seem that important to me. And so I don't really feel like he's very much an importance to this whole thing. I mean, they could have put more of a more better villain in this, if you'd ask me. The music, like how the first one was, such excellent music that was being portrayed in the whole movie, so was this one too. I love the music. It just makes the movie much more epic, having to know that this is a Thor movie. So it was great. I had a lot of fun with it. We get characters like Frida, who's the mother of Thor. She was in the first movie, played by Renee Russo, and I love her in this movie because she really kicks ass in this. She really fights the villain for several seconds, but it's such an amazing scene. I love it. It's so fun. And then you got the the regular down-to-earth characters that really seem a little bit boring to me, if you ask me. I feel a lot more better off having to see what goes on in Thor's world rather than having to experience what goes down on Earth. I think if you were to have a story talking about with Thor, should have been just left off in the first movie and deal with what you're doing in Thor's world outside of Earth. Just having him being introduced and then having him do his own thing, which I believe that's what they learned from and they're doing in Thor Ragnarok, because there's no Earth involved in Ragnarok. And then one thing I really love to mention is that the love triangle. There was a love triangle in this because we got Thor, we got Natalie Portman's character. Of course, those two are in love, and then you get Jamie Alexander's Sith. Lady Sith in this, and she has a thing for Thor, but Thor doesn't really have a thing for her. She's more into Natalie Portman. So I mean, I wish they would have furthered along with that. It would have made the movie at least a little bit more interesting, but other than that, they didn't really go any further than having it being the first half of the film. And then the ending, we get, we were like wondering where the hell is Odin at, We get Loki, who is sitting on the throne and portraying Odin, and then we're just like, okay, well, where's the real Odin at? So I'm pretty sure they're going to be answering that in the next, in this new Thor movie, Ragnarok. And then we get a little secret ending after credits scene with Benicio del Toro portraying as the Collector, and he, of course, we all know him. He's going to make his appearance in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And it's just a little bit of a hint of where the story is going towards with the Infinity Stones and Thanos, so on and so forth. So, and on Rotten Tomatoes, they rated it at 66%, so they went down a little bit from compared to the first movie, which was 77%. And for me, I really did like this movie, and 66% is a very decent percentage, but for me, I'd have to go at least a little bit down and say about at least a 60%. And like I said, it's not a bad movie. It's a great movie. I had a lot of fun with it as much as I did with the first one, but I just feel like it's a little bit of a downfall compared to the first one. The first one's a lot better. So that's my ratings for Thor Ragnarok, and on to the last movie so we can do a recap before we go watch Ragnarok. So the last time we've seen Thor is in Age of Ultron, Avengers, and he really does kick ass in this. But the whole point of him being in this movie is not only does he does a great job having to be part of the Avenger team, but is the dream sequence that he is being put through by the Scarlet Witch. And it's kind of a little bit of a hint of saying more about the Infinity Stones and about Thanos as his arrival, and then the invasion on Earth, and even including the whole galaxy. So I mean, and so he as soon as the Avengers win, of course, spoilers, and he takes off into Asgard. That's the last time we see him until we see him in Thor Ragnarok. But I mean, it's just so great. I mean, I'm so excited. I mean, we're finally getting to see him and doing his third movie already. We already seen 3 Iron Man movies. We already seen 3 Captain America movies. Now we're gonna see 3 Thor movies. So I'm really excited about all this. Now, if you guys don't mind, I am gonna go and watch Thor Ragnarok, and stay tuned later on today because I'm gonna go ahead and be doing another video of non-spoilers to Thor Ragnarok after having to watch the movie. So it's gonna be so fun. Thank you guys for taking the time to watching my videos. You guys are a huge inspiration, and you guys stay awesome, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye.